Hi.
Hello.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for composing your Metamorphosis of Swans.
Well, thank you for the support and inspiration to be able to do so with you in California.
Oh, well, I think that's honestly, I think one of the most exciting things is that I feel so honored to be able to support your composition, but to have my singers support you as well. And that's just very important to me. And I think your whole concept is just amazing. And before we begin with the questions, I'm going to introduce you just a little bit. I find it fascinating that you were born on a farm in Pennsylvania and you're now in Berlin. I just think that speaks volumes about your life and your creativity. And you are a two-time recipient of the Mellon Grant for Creative Research Award. And I think that sounds totally amazing. And you also have a degree from the Pratt Institute of Art and Design. As well, you are a completely accomplished Wagnerian soprano in Berlin, and you perform Strauss, Mahler, Puccini, many, many more. You've performed in Berlin, London, New York, San Francisco, and you've had another premiere of the Tomorrow Never Knows with EMX in Berlin, and also my choir in Carmel, California, USA. So that's
I'm realizing I need to update my bio. Yes. Yeah. And actually, like one of the things that I've been focused on, other than the Metamorphosis of Swans very much lately, is my one-woman show, which is called A Line, that I based on Strauss Electra. But it's called A Line because that means alone in German, and I sing all of the roles in the opera as multiple facets of a multiple personality. So that is one of my main focuses right now. And also, part of my inspiration in moving to Berlin is because I do love the late romantic German repertoire so much that I wanted to become fluent in the language of the music that inspired me so much. So, but also back to the metamorphosis of swans. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to be developing my compositional skills and to share it with such a great group and a beautiful choir. And yeah, to that you have given me this opportunity. So thank you.
oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So I'll jump right into my questions.
Hmm.
And the first one is, what inspired you to compose Metamorphosis of Swans?
So it's based on the fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen, The Wild Swans. And it's a story, as many fairy tales start off. There is a king, and his queen unfortunately dies, leaving behind, some stories say seven brothers, some stories say 11 brothers, and one sister. And the king remarries a woman who turns out to be not only not very nice, but a bit of a witch. And she doesn't want to have much to do with the children. And so she transforms the brothers into swans. So they are forced to fly through the world all day. And then as the sun goes down, they turn into boys once more and fall from the heavens into the water. And my whole life, I've been really fascinated with this fairy tale. And so I wanted to do something musically with this idea that these creatures, these boys, are always in a state of metamorphosis, of transformation, because this is it's it's interesting because they do transform, but it's cyclical, and it's something that happens every day at sunset, which is also a very poetic, metaphoric time. It's the ending of one day and the foreshadowing of the next. And so I thought there was a lot of elements in the fairy tale that would really lend themselves to musical expression. So that's what I'm doing.
That is so, that's completely fascinating, that you have had this story in your life, and you've thought about it and seen it and experienced it. Wow, that was great. And now, can you give us a little bit more of the synopsis or the story? Exactly, you kind of touched on it, but can you add anything to that?
Yeah, definitely. So, in a way, I don't actually think of this work as an opera because it's not like a linear narrative. Not that opera has to be a linear narrative, but I think of it more as just like a series of musical responses to elements within the story. And the first piece that I wrote based on this was Call. Now, in the story, the brothers are said to be mute. However, I like to imagine that they psychically call to one another, if you will, that they're flying and through the air and maybe gliding over the water, and the this kind of call and response of the two voices and the horn creates what I hope is a feeling of like the misty water over the countryside as these birds are seeking each other. And then in Rivers and Cities, this is a poem that I started working on quite a while ago. So all of the text that is in the Metamorphosis of Swans is mine. So I also wrote the words for Rivers and Cities and What Is Left. And then of course I was also fortunate to be able to incorporate your lovely poem Wings, which is a companion piece, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But so basically, Rivers and Cities, it's thinking about the fact that these birds are compelled to fly all over, and the experience of seeing rivers, because that's at some point they're going to have to come back into the water, and taking off, using this as a jumping off point, the existence of rivers and cities, what has that meant to the world and to mankind and to the natural world over the ages, and what might it mean in the future? And also taking this idea of fairy tale time is not necessarily our understanding of regular time. These swans might have been traveling for hundreds of years. We don't really know because it's not nonfiction. It's a fantasy world, and I like to use this gaze to look at the symbolic power of and actual power of rivers within our man-made world, and how a creature like a swan that is actually also a person can see that transformation of another kind. And then what is left is my trying to think, what is it like for the brothers, that they every morning as the sun comes up, they sprout wings, and every night, as night falls every day, these feathers fall out and they have to fall to the ground. It's like a similar, it's like an Icarus process that never ends until later on, when the little sister finds out that the way to save her brothers is by knitting them sweaters made of stinging nettles. But these nettles have to be collected in the graveyard at midnight. And the one piece that I probably won't get to this time, nettles, I see as a percussion piece, because the idea of the knitting needles clicking on each other with the thorns that she knits. So unfortunately, the people of the village, they see her doing this in the graveyard at midnight, and they think she's a witch. So they're going to burn her at the stake. But she has almost all of the shirts for her brothers finished. Just one arm is missing on one shirt. And so as they're carrying her off to the pyre, the brothers see her and they come down, and she throws the shirts to the brothers. And as they put them on, they become young men again. Except one that goes to the little brother, the youngest of all, is missing one arm on the shirt. And so he spends the rest of his days with one swan wing, a young man with a swan wing. And that's my inspiration for Swoon, the idea that he will live with this burden of beauty but otherness for the rest of his days, after trying to save his sister, as the rest of his brothers go on with their lives. So these are, yeah.
What a powerful, powerful story. And on so many levels, so much to look at, so much. I'm so excited about this.
And that's why I think Wings ties in, so your poem that I was lucky enough to set for the chorus ties in so well, because like the brother who has to carry this swan wing for the rest of his life, it's a burden of beauty. And in your poem, the breaking of my heart has given me wings. And so sometimes it's the things that give us pain that also teach us, and that allow us to empathize with others and the world. And it's a gift of wisdom as well. So I think that ties in very nicely with the overall theme.
I'm delighted I get to be a little part of it. Thank you. Thank you. And can you describe your compositional process? I hear so much in it as I go from composer to composer, and clearly you're a singer, and clearly I hear how many of the lines in the choral pieces, the SATB, the soprano may start out, then the tenor continues, and so you're doing lots of things with texture and phrase and shape, and I hear your sculpting, I hear the beauty of nature in farms and sky. I hear. Anyway, I'll let you talk about your compositional process, but I can go on and on.
Well, I'm very thrilled to hear that you hear that, because yes, I very much come at composition as a singer, from a singer's standpoint. Just like I guess any composer has their primary instrument. And for me, the primary instrument is the voice. And I love especially working with like a few voices and just seeing what kinds of harmonies and dissonance. I love riding that edge sometimes between something that almost is unpleasant and then dives back into something that is a more a regular kind of chord, and how the voices can swim in and out of one another. And I like also to let the voices shine as solo instruments, even within the choral setting, that each voice part gets to take the leading thread, as you're mentioning about the weaving, at different points in time. And so they only culminate at certain climactic points, and then they just dissipate apart from one another again. So, and I'm also really grateful that you have such a wonderful horn player who is patient with my new riding skills. So it's been great to that Peter Lemberg has such patience for my budding compositional efforts, and I think it will be wonderful to have his horn along with the voices as well. So, and we'll see about the last part, swoon, if it turns out to be for saxophone, or we'll find out.
Well, yes, Peter is extraordinary, and I'm so delighted that he'll be able to honor you and be a part of this. And I am really excited about this piece. So, now, the last question, uh, we, if you have anything more to add, I would say that you are completely accomplished Wagnerian soprano and sculptor. What do you feel you explore as a singer, musician, and artist? I know you've kind of already mentioned that. Can you think of anything else that you might
I
share?
would say I would say that everything is sculpture, because as we move through the world, we part the molecules, and we ingest the molecules, and we exhale the molecules. And singing is sculpting tone. It's we take these waves and we send them through the air, and that moves the air, that sculpts the air, that creates ripples. And these waves then go into other materials, such as wood or people. And when these waves go into other people or animals or objects, those waves create a resonance within the bodies that they travel through. And I think that is also one of the things that is so exciting about experiencing live music and experiencing specifically live voices, because of the power of those vibrations that we are able to share. And I do think that's sculpture.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Heather, I can't thank you enough for this interview. I'm so excited to be, I will share this interview with my singers because I feel that this kind of interaction with a composer can't help but make the performer and the audience feel closer to what you're feeling and saying and understanding in your life. And that creative spirit is just such a lovely gift. It's such a lovely gift, and I think we need it more than ever to share with the world and our community and our everybody that we can share it with. And I'm just really overwhelmed with your very, very, very creative and insightful answers. And I can't thank you enough.
Well, I feel the same way. I can't thank you enough. So thank you, Robin.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.